Hi, and welcome to the Holy Becoming podcast. I'm your host, kelseyjfranca, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. And this is my sweet, sweet husband, Marcelo, and he's going to be our guest, and we're going to talk about our relationship, how we met, and a little bit of our journey. So this is a space where truth roots us, fire refines us, and we're reminded every day that God chooses people just like you and me to carry his glory. And no matter what season you find yourself in, whether you're waiting, you're wrestling, you're hoping, or you're thriving, know that you are not alone. You are becoming, and this podcast is for you. So let's get into it. Do you want to share how we met, our story about how we met?
Okay. Okay, where to start?
We were both in Australia.
We were both in Australia. We were doing missions. I'm sure you shared some of that. And I was in the Northeast in Townsville, and Kelsey was in the Southwest in Perth. And we're both doing missions through Youth with a Mission, YWAM. And one of my close friends decided to move from Townsville to go to Perth. And that's when everything started. My friend had just moved, and I FaceTimed her, and we're just talking, and I was just catching up with her, seeing how everything was going, how she was settling in. And this girl walks into her, dorm, and it so happened to be Kelsey. So my friend just literally tells me, "Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. I need to go meet her," and hangs up on me. And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And that was that. And so I don't know, a few days went by, and my friend...
Let's just call her Kelly. This is our friend Kelly. Shout out to Kelly.
And so Kelly, she texts me and tells me, "Hey, I think I met your unicorn," which was, great, but I was never going to really meet Kelsey. We were like a whole country apart.
Yeah, and I was only there for 3 months, and then I was working in missions in YWAM in the Caribbean. And so after my 6 months there, I was going to go back to the Caribbean. So I was like, there's no way that this could work because I'm going to be in the Caribbean. He's in Australia. That's so far apart. Like, why would anyone want to subject themselves to a long distance relationship? Like, I've heard it's the worst. So why would we do that?
Yeah. And not only that, but at the time, I wasn't even looking, for a relationship. But
you had given up on love, is what you told me.
Well, not to that extreme. But it wasn't... Yeah, we were just talking and joking about the fact that she found my unicorn, and that I was never going to meet her. And then literally just, I think it was a week or so went by, and Kelly, just talking to Kelsey individually and me individually, figured out that we were both going to be in Denver for a wedding. And it just so turns out that Kelsey's sister married my best friend growing up, and we were both in the wedding party.
Small world.
Yeah. And so that was okay, cool. I guess I will get to meet this girl and see what this is all about. And
yeah,
part of me was kind of, I wouldn't say anxious, but just, I don't know. I guess I was holding back a little just because what if we have nothing in common, and what if we don't, get along?
And I knew it was just going to be a weekend. It was a Friday to Sunday that I was going to be in Denver, and the whole week leading up to me leaving Australia for that week, my friend Kelly just kept showing me pictures of Marcelo. She's like, "Isn't he handsome? Isn't he so handsome? You're going to totally fall in love with him. He's so good looking. Look at him." And I'm just like, Kelly, the whole time I'm just telling her, this isn't going to work out. I'm going to meet him. I'm going to see him I'm only going to spend probably half a day with him, and then that's it. And then I'm coming back here, and I'm probably never going to see him again.
Yeah.
So I remember it was the rehearsal ceremony, and it was an afternoon in the Denver Botanical Gardens. It was so beautiful, and it was supposed to be
cold.
A warm spring day in May, and it was freezing, so cold. So we drive up. I'm with my sister, and we drive up, and I just remember seeing Marcelo standing there with all of his buddies, and he just smiled so big, and he just had the most beautiful smile, and he just kind of waved. It was this goofy little smile, and I just got kind of nervous, and I was like, oh, whatever. And I'm just I'm so outgoing and friendly, whatever. So I get out of my car, and I know most of the people there already. So I'm just saying hi to people, hugging people. And I see him, and I just remember I was just oh, hi, it's so nice to see you, whatever. Because we had talked on FaceTime already. It's not like we'd never met before. And I gave him a hug. And
And that's when it all started.
the hug.
Yeah, the hug.
But it was really that night, the rehearsal dinner. Do you remember?
Yeah. So yeah, we had the rehearsal dinner, and then we just got to spend time actually like conversing and just getting to know each other a little bit better. But for me, the big giveaway was the night of the wedding. After the ceremony and everything, was just before the newlyweds' first dance. I was actually just crossing the dance floor.
Okay, let me tell this part. Okay. So we had been talking like ever since the rehearsal dinner. We just like didn't stop talking to each other, and during the whole wedding ceremony and dinner and everything, like sneakily, my family was all taking pictures of us talking and like texting it to each other, and I had no idea till later, but everyone was like saw that something was happening, even though we didn't really see it. We were just talking and getting to know each other, and so then once the dancing came around, there was salsa music on, and so I was dancing with my brother Cody. We were salsa dancing, and then he goes, "Why are you not dancing with Marcelo?" And I was like, "Because I'm dancing with you." And then he just takes me over to Marcelo and throws me into his arms. And Marcelo's like, okay, so we start dancing, and then
I don't dance.
He does not dance, and let alone two-step. So then country music came on, and he hates country music. And so I taught him how to two-step. I'm a Texas girl, of course. I know how to dance Western dance, so I teach him how to two-step. And then they did. You tell us part.
And then they kind of stopped the music because newlyweds were about to come in and do their first dance. So we just moved to the side and, to watch the newlyweds dance. So at that point, we come apart, but she doesn't let go of my hand. And I'm just standing there next to her, holding her hand, and I'm like, this is weird because, I don't normally just stand around holding anyone's hands. So
girls, it's okay to make the first move, okay?
Sure. And so I was just standing there, and that's when I realized, like, okay, this is a little more than just friends. There's interest in there.
Yeah, there is definite chemistry, definite connection. And then that night after the wedding, my family had all rented a lake house together, and the whole wedding party and all of my family, we all went there after the wedding ceremony and dance and party was over, and we just hung out at that house. Like, I don't know, there was like 20 of us, and we just, I don't know, I think we went to bed at like 4 a.m. All of us were just sitting outside by the fire, by the lake, talking, hanging out, and it was so fun. And then the next day was like Sunday, and we were all leaving. I forgot about this. Like everyone just like slept on couches everywhere. Like we all stayed at that house. And so the next morning, Marcelo and all of his friends were leaving, and we found out that our flights were like around the same time, and our gates were actually like right next to each other. So we're like, okay, cool. Like I'll see you at the airport. So Cody and my brother was with me in Australia at the same time too. So Cody and I were getting ready. We were packing up our stuff. We were so exhausted and still somehow jet lagged. So it was awful. So we're getting ready to go, and then we get to the airport, and so Cody and I are going, and the gate that our flight is supposed to be at is like totally empty. They're shutting the doors. So we kind of like quickly walk over to talk to the flight attendant because we realized they had moved our gate, so we were just going to ask her where our gate was moved to. And Marcelo, I just see him out of the corner of my eye, he comes running towards us, and he's like, "Are you leaving already? Is your flight leaving early? Whatever." And I was like, "Oh no, it's just that our gate changed, so we're just asking where our gate is going." And I was just like, in that moment I was like, "Oh, he likes me. He's very interested in me." And then we went and sat at their gate. You were flying to Vegas to spend time with your brother and family, and so we sat at your gate until you left, and then we said bye, and we had each other's number by then, and we had just kept talking and texting. And I remember like we were just talking about like how your time in Vegas was, like my travels, how I was doing a children at risk school in Australia, so how the school was going, how Kelly is, like just like random stuff. And I remember I was out with my friend Kelly and some other girls from my school, and we were out in like downtown Perth just like hanging out, walking around the shops, whatever, and I was texting you, and I just remember here again I made another move, okay? And I just remember texting you, "Marcelo, I can't stop thinking about you." And you were just like, I think you said the same thing, like, "Same here." And like we just knew like something was going on, and I had no idea. I was honestly really scared because I was like, I don't know how this is going to work out, and we really need to pray about this and figure out if this is from the Lord, like it's going to work, because if it's not, like there's no way that we can figure out how to do this, because I'm going to be in the Caribbean, he's in Australia. But one thing that I really appreciated was that after we had both told each other that we liked each other, he was like, hey, let's FaceTime tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And so we FaceTimed, and he was just so blunt and honest. And he was like, look, Kelsey, like we've talked about how we like each other. We're very interested in each other. Just told me like all these nice things. You know, I think you're so great and pretty and you love the Lord and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, I want to pursue you with the intention of marrying you. And I don't know what that looks like, but I want you to pray about it, and I'm going to pray about it. And he was just so intentional and so clear in his communication with me about his intentions, which was such a blessing. Like, girls, that's what you need from a guy. If it's confusing, it's not from God, okay? God is not a God of confusion. And so we both prayed about it, and we felt like, let's move forward with this, and let's just keep seeking God. And yeah, so we FaceTimed probably every day. Especially once you got back to Australia, we were on the same time zone pretty much. I think you're like a couple hours ahead, and we FaceTimed pretty much every day until I went on mission to Cambodia and Thailand, and we talked as often as we could. And I remember like during that time, it was just such a sweet season, because I was just going to class and doing ministry, and I just, I had like a lot of time where I could just spend with the Lord. And I remember before I would go to class every morning, there was an empty classroom right next to our classroom. And I would go and I would take my guitar and I would just worship and pray, and I would just pray about this, and I would just give it up to the Lord. And I remember one morning, not that this will happen for everyone, but I remember one morning I was praying, and I just really felt like God said, this is the man that I have for you. And I was like, not that he was like, this is the one, because I believe, you know, you can pursue, you know, a godly man, or he can pursue you, and you can make it work as you keep God in the center, you know. But I really felt like this is, like this was it from God. And I was like, okay, God, like that's a little scary. And I was still getting to know him, still like learning who he was and how this would work. And
yeah, and I mean, for me, it was sooner than that, I guess. So we were, you know, together at the airport, and I got on my flight, and I was flying to Vegas to see my brother, and I just felt to grab my phone and open my Bible, and I stopped at Song of Solomon.
Where's Song of Solomon? Is it after Psalms?
Yeah, chapter 2, verse 2. And it literally just says, like a lily among thistles is my darling among young women. It sounded like a mouthful there. But to me, that was a confirmation, because whenever it comes to relationship, I just always pray, like, Lord, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste anybody else's time. Like, I want to know, I want to be certain so that I can actually move forward and pursue this person. And so when I read that, it was just instant. And I just felt the confirmation and the peace about it as well. And just God saying, this is the one. You know, she is the lily that stands amongst the thistles.
This was like when you were in Vegas.
This is on my way to Vegas.
Okay, so that was like the weekend we met.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I was just so grateful to have that confirmation, and of course, like being human, like a lot of the times you just want one confirmation is not enough, and so you want more and more because you want to be certain. But just everything, the way that everything was happening, and obviously the long distance, but I landed in Vegas and I talked to my brother about it, and I talked to Kelly about it as well. And it was just such a sweet moment to have the confirmation, but also having people championing it at the same time. And granted that my brother didn't know Kelsey, but Kelly did. And just when your friends can back up the relationship as well, to me, that's a huge sign that like, okay, this feels right. And so, yeah, from there, we kind of just kept in contact every day. I think maybe like 6 days a week, not, for the most part. But yeah, we're just intentional in our conversations, and like you shared, like I was intentional with my purpose in dating you.
Yeah. And that's a really cool thing about doing long distance and getting to know each other, is that all you can do is talk. There is literally no temptation. Like, you're just getting to know each other, which is really cool. And that was like for what, like
9
probably,
months?
well, just when I was in Australia, that was probably like 5 months of just talking. And then he came to Perth, so also did my parents and my other brother Kevin, because Cody and I were graduating from our schools. Cody was doing a Bible school and I was doing the children at risk school. So there was like a weekend of graduation ceremony, whatever. So my family came up, and Marcelo came from Townsville, and we spent a week in Western Australia, just like at an Airbnb, traveling around, going to vineyards and just hanging out. And so he just kind of joined my little family trip. And the cool thing is that he had already met my family at the wedding. They didn't have big conversations, but they knew him, and they know that he grew up with my brother-in-law. And so I'm so thankful that my parents were like, yeah, just bring this guy along, and
yeah.
and so we had so much fun. That was such a fun week. And he got with my dad and asked him.
Yeah, I used that opportunity to actually like sit with her dad, and well, I guess we were walking, and just laid out for him, and just like, hey, like this is my intention, this is my purpose, and kind of like asking for the pre-blessing,
but we're not even official yet. So he had asked him if, like, I could be his girlfriend, which I love that he did that, because my dad's very old school and I
didn't know this, but I was just, that's how I want, to be treated with like our kids.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah. So then I think it was the day we were flying, like I was flying back to St. Croix, and you were going back you were going back to Australia, or Townsville, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. Of course I said yes. And then we were at the airport, and we were leaving, and he asked if he could talk to me for a sec, because I was also on a flight with Kelly, so there was like a group of us flying out the same day. And he pulled me aside, and he told me that he didn't want to miss this opportunity while we were still in the same place, and he told me that he loved me. And
it wasn't too soon, because we'd been talking every day for like 5 months.
We had been official for like not even 24 hours. And he tells me that he loves me.
Yeah.
And he was like,
when you know, you know.
Yeah, he was like, don't feel pressure to say anything back. And I was like, I love you too. And then I flew back to St. Croix, and he went back to Townsville, and we didn't see each other in person for 9 months. It was a long time, and we just talked as much as we could. The time change was hard. We both got out of YWAM, and so I moved to Texas, and then he was in Australia, then he moved to England, and then we visited each other once we were in Texas and England, and we saw each other every couple months, and then I finally met his family, and then he moved to Texas, and that was, what a relief to be in the same city, finally.
Yeah. And even with like us leaving missions, that wasn't like an easy thing. Obviously, like, we're considering the future together and what it looks like, but the most important is that we're both still seeking God separately in that decision. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm throwing everything away because I'm in love, like, and I think that's always something that should be priority in anyone's personal lives, is just seeking God in everything, and the big and the small. And so like, I'm grateful that we were mature enough to do that separately, and knowing that God did bring us together, and that he was going to make sure that everything lined up for us to to be in the same city, and to eventually get married and actually have a life together. So
and then once you came here, we did a counseling school together with YWAM, and then we wanted to get married, so we were trying to figure out what that looked like. And he proposed to me in June, and then because he's not a citizen, he's from UK, we thought that he had to get a fiancé visa, so he bought his tickets back to England, and we thought he was gonna be gone and we would have to be apart. And I was just beside myself, crying every day, so sad he was leaving. And my dad, my sweet dad, he was like just so sad to see me so depressed because he was leaving. He was like, okay, there's got to be another way. So we found an amazing immigration lawyer, and we met with her. And she told us, because he came on a student visa to do that counseling school that we did with YWAM, and he completed the course, he got a certification, that if we did get married before his visa expired, it's not visa fraud. So I think we met with her in like probably like late July, early August maybe. And his visa expired the end of October. And she was like, just get married before his visa expires and you're fine. And we were like, so we need to get married in 2 months? So
it's doable.
Yeah. So and I had always wanted to get married in my parents' backyard. So it was like just simple and easy. And my mom and Marcelo kind of planned the whole thing. We disagreed on a lot of stuff. And I was like, whatever they choose is going to look good, so I don't care. As long as I pick out my dress and do my own makeup, I'm good. So we figured out how to get a wedding together in 2 months, and all of our friends, well, not everyone, but as many people as could, came from all over the world, and it was just a sweet weekend. We've been married for almost 7 years now, and it's been the most challenging, most beautiful time. I love marriage. It's the most sanctifying experience I think I have ever walked. Living with someone day to day, choosing to be selfless. It's not easy, but it's just so rewarding.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that like you get to see your personal growth in the journey as well as your spouse's.
Yeah.
So even that, like reflecting on that is fun and encouraging, because you start off and you think everything is great, and then nothing is great. And then you see how you pull each other out of those places and, keep walking together, centering God in the relationship and just moving forward. And it's fun to see.
Yeah. And I remember everyone always told us the first year of marriage is always the hardest. And I was like, I don't receive that. We're going to have the best first year of marriage of my life. And now looking back on it, like I realize why people say that is our first year of marriage was the hardest year of marriage, probably. Well, in its own way. We've had many challenges since then. But it's just all those firsts of living together and learning to be with one another. And it's just there's so many challenges that you face that once you get used to that and you live with each other and you learn to communicate and learn to do all these things, it just really gets better and better and better and better. And so now looking back, it's like I'm even so much more in love with him today than I was then. And we've learned just to like lay ourselves down and be more selfless and be more humble and get rid of our pride. And it's just
prefer one another.
Yeah, there's so many lessons that you learn along the way. But I think maybe we can do a part 2 if you want to come back on here again. But what is your one encouragement to single people who are wanting a beautiful, godly marriage and still waiting for their person? What would you encourage them with?
I guess like enjoy being single. Like don't rush to be in a relationship. God's timing is perfect, even if we don't see it right away. There's peace in being single. There's, a different sort of freedom even in being single. And we so often just think that everything's going to be better once, I'm in a relationship or once I have somebody. But like, if you're not satisfied in being single, you're not going to be satisfied in being a couple. So I would say definitely, continue to seek God, but just lay it at the foot of the cross, because there's no need to rush that desire to just make it happen.
Okay. So that's just a little bit of our story. And if you want to know more about godly dating, godly marriage, submit those questions to me and we can do another episode and we can just tackle those questions and talk more about what a godly relationship looks like, what a godly marriage looks like. But I'm so glad you joined us today. Thank you for being here. If this episode encouraged you, you enjoyed listening to it, share it. Tag me on Instagram at theholybecoming pod. And until next time, stay hungry for his presence, burning for his glory, and bearing the fruit of the Spirit.